Hello, dear students. I hope you all are safe and healthy. My name is Ankita. I am teaching as an assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, Gurugram. I welcome all of you to the lecture 15th of my online lecture series. And in this video, we will start the topics from Unit 1. In previous lecture, we studied about templates. We studied generic programming and what are the various ways to implement template functions and template classes to achieve generic programming. And the questions which you can expect in the final examinations are: what are the templates, what are the template function, explain with the help of examples. So whether it is template functions or template class, you have to explain it with the help of example. Okay, so in previous lecture also we had enough examples to explain each of these topics. So let's proceed in this video. So this is the topic of unit 1, and it covers all the basic features of object oriented programming and the difference between the object oriented programming and procedure oriented programming. A procedure oriented programming approach is based on writing a list of instructions or the actions for the computer to follow and organizing these instructions into group known as functions. So we have studied C programming also. We have to write various functions to implement certain operations in that programming language. C is the best example for procedure oriented languages, and this language is totally based upon the functions. It explains the various ways to write a function. So a complete program is based upon the function. So you can say functions are the building blocks of your procedure oriented language. So as you can see in this diagram, we usually do not write the complete code inside the main program, because compiler first, when execute your program, it looks for the main function. So it is not good to write the complete program into main program. So that's why we write separate functions. For example, if we want to perform addition, subtraction, division, then we will write the separate functions for each of these operations, and then we have to call those functions inside the main function. So the main disadvantage of procedure oriented language is that the data is usually global. So if we want any variable to be used by all the functions inside the main function, then we have to create the global data or the global variable. And on the other hand, the functions can have their local data as well. It does not model real world problems very well, and there is no data hiding in the procedure oriented language. So on these basis, what are the characteristics of procedure oriented programming? It emphasizes on the algorithm only, and the large programs are divided into smaller programs, and these smaller programs or units are known as functions. Most of the functions, they share global data, and data moves openly around the system from function to function, and function transforms data from one form to another form. So it basically employs top down approach in the program paradigm, and the examples of such languages are C, Fortran, Algol. So these languages are the earlier languages introduced before C language, Pascal, Basic. These are the example of your procedure oriented language. So before we further move on to the object oriented programming, let's see the difference between the procedure oriented programming and object oriented programming. So as we studied in the features or the characteristics of procedure oriented programming language, it is based on the functions. How do we write any function, and how do we call those functions inside other function or in the main function? So that complete scenario forms a procedure oriented language. Whereas in object oriented programming, the program is divided into smaller units or smaller parts known as objects. Procedure programming follows a top down approach, whereas object oriented programming follows a bottom up approach. We will see the concept of object oriented programming as well. There are no access specifiers in the procedure oriented programming language, whereas we have the concept of access specifiers in object oriented programming. And incorporating or adding any new data or functions inside the procedure oriented program is not easy, whereas adding any new data or the function is very easy in the case of object oriented programming. And procedure oriented programming does not have any proper way of hiding the data, so it is less secure as compared to object oriented programming, whereas object oriented programming provides the data hiding, so it is more secure than the procedure oriented language. So in the case of procedure oriented, overloading is not possible. So if you write same name functions multiple times, compiler will not be able to distinguish among the various function definitions, whereas overloading is very much possible in object oriented programming. Functions have more focus rather than the data, and in object oriented programming data is more important than functions. Procedure programming is based upon the unreal world, whereas object oriented programming is used to solve the real world problem. As we saw, the examples of procedure oriented programming languages C, Fortran, Pascal, Basic, etc. And example of object oriented programming is C++, Java, Python, C Sharp, etc. So let's study some brief history of object oriented programming before the features of OOP programming language. So the very first object language was known as Simula. As its name suggests, it was used to create the simulations. So Alan Kay, who was at the University of Utah at the time, liked what he saw in the Simula language. It was also based upon the concept of objects, so that's why it is known as the object language. This person had a vision of personal computer that would provide the graphic of oriented applications, and he felt that the language like Simula would provide a good way for non-specialists to create these applications, and he sold this vision to the Xerox PARC. And in the early 1970s, a team headed by Alan Kay at the Xerox PARC that created the first personal computer called the Dynabook. So after Simula, Smalltalk was the object oriented language which was developed for Dynabook programming, and it was a simulation and the graphics oriented programming language. So Smalltalk exists to the day, although it is not very widely commercial. So the idea of object oriented programming gained momentum in the 1970s only, and in the early 98, Bjarne Stroustrup integrated object oriented programming into C language. So the resulting language was known as the C++. So it is also known as the extension of C, and it became the first object oriented language to be widely used commercially also. So in early 1990s, a group of people led by the James Gosling developed a simpler version of C++ called Java that was meant to be a programming language for the video on demand applications, and this project was going nowhere until the group reoriented its focus and marketed Java as a language for programming internet applications. So we all know, we have heard about Java also. It is very much simpler in many terms than C++ also. So the object oriented programming is what we have studied so far in the difference of procedure oriented language and object oriented language, and in the history we saw what is object oriented programming. After that also, let's have a look at its important points. Like, it is an object oriented language which is an extension of C, and it was developed by Bjarne Stroustrup at AT&T Bell Laboratories in USA. He also called it C with classes, and in object oriented programming, the classes and object concept came into existence. The complete program is written inside the class, and class contains the object and the various member functions. The first object oriented programming was Simula, and nowadays C++, Java, PHP, C Sharp, Python, these are all known as object oriented programming language. So object oriented also helps us to solve real world problems by using the concepts of message passing, inheritance, polymorphism, objects, abstraction, and encapsulation in the programming language. So this is the scenario how the various objects of the classes are related with each other. Every object of a class shares the copy of data, whereas it shares only one copy of the member functions written inside the class. Okay, we will study further also that objects are the instance of a class. So you can create as many instances of a class as you want. So emphasis is on doing manipulations with the data rather than the procedures, and programs are divided into objects, data structures that are designed such that they characterize the objects, functions that operate on data of an object are tied together in the data structure. Data is hidden and cannot be accessed by the external functions. Access specifiers is very important feature in OOP, and object may communicate with each other through the functions. New data can be added easily, and this follows the bottom up approach. So we will see how with the help of example. So this, there are some advantages and disadvantages also associated with object oriented programming. So the advantages are like this language helps us to solve the real world problems. So you can say that in the terms of real world entities, OOP concept is used, like classes and objects, they can be made of the things that are real and exist in the world. You can take example of pen, chair, student, hospital, and these are the example can be considered as class also. Okay, so let's consider a case of a student, and a class contains 30 students. Every student is having characteristics like name, roll number, address, age, and class course number. So what are these? These are the entities, or these are the properties, and a student of a class can be known as the object. Code reusability is provided with OOP concept. So the feature, this explains the point of inheritance also. So due to inheritance we can have code reusability. You need not to write the code again and again. By deriving another class from existing class, you can access all the functions of that class also. You need not to write the code again and again. Management is easy because your code becomes modularized. You are writing complete code inside the class, so it is not directly accessible by outside functions and the member functions or the other member functions of the other classes as well. So easy management is there, like complete program is written inside the class. Your program is now modularized, so you can see what data and member functions relate to which class. In only in the main function you have to call all the functions, member functions of the class. Maintenance of the code becomes easy in the object oriented programming because of its easy management of the class. Okay, so if the code is to be used by another programmer, still it will not create any ambiguity, or correct guidance of the coding is used. Abstraction is there, polymorphism is there. So these you can consider as the features of OOP also. Like only these features distinguish C++ from C language. Okay, so these are the concepts of object oriented programming language, like inheritance, data abstraction, data encapsulation, polymorphism. Besides advantages, disadvantages are also associated with it, like complex design. So it's complex design. So designing and the proper implementation of the OOP concept is complex and the burdensome. Like hence it is difficult for many to have an extreme knowledge of in order to design the and implement the OOP concept. Many skills are required. A programmer is required to have many skills for the better programming. Different skills like programming skills, designing skill, logical thinking, and problem solving skills are needed. If a programmer does not have an extreme knowledge about programming, then it becomes difficult for them to code and manage. Like larger size and many instructions are involved inside the program, so a proper care should be taken while writing the complete program, because the program gets larger in size. Slow speed, due to the large size of the program, its execution speeds also become slow. Even many coding instructions may make the execution of the program slower and affect its efficiency. Uses or the applications of object oriented programming includes object oriented DBMS, office automation software, AI and expert system, CAD CAM software. So all these are the application areas where the object oriented programming concepts are used. The most important, the basic concepts of object oriented programming are classes of objects, data abstraction and encapsulation. So these are the main objects. These are the main features on which your OOP concept is based. So these are the only features which makes C++ and or you can say object oriented programming and procedure oriented programming differ with each other. So objects are the runtime entities, and they represent consider a case, as we took the example of a student. Consider the case of a person like who is working in some company. So that person belongs to the department marketing, and that person is having a name, the age, and the salary. So from that, for marketing department, or you can say the class will be, in that case, will be marketing, and that person will be, or that employee will be one object of that class. So object can be anything, like any bank account, a place, a person, a table of the data, or any item that a program must handle. The fundamental idea of behind object oriented programming is to combine both the data and the function into a single unit, and these units are known as objects. For example, we took the example of an employee. Suppose his name is Amit and he is 23 years old and his salary is 4500, and the Amit may be represented as a programmer, or he can be considered as an object if we talk about the programming terms. So the program part of the object may be collection of the programs. So data part would be his name, age, and salary, and the program part would be the object, uh, and the program part of the object may be collection of programs, and retrieving the data, change the age. So these are the functions which are representing as function. Okay, how we can retrieve the data, change its age, change the salary. So this is the program part. Classes in turn, they are the blueprint of your complete algorithm, and a group of objects that share common properties of the data part and the some program part are collectively known as a class. So in C++, class is a new data type which is a user defined data type. Basically it contains its own member variables and member functions that operate on that member functions. Data abstraction refers to the act of representing essential features without including the background details of the explanation, and classes use the concept of abstraction and are defined as size, with width and cost and functions to operate on the attributes. So data encapsulation is the another important feature. Wrapping up of your data and function into a single unit is known as encapsulation. Data is not accessible to the outside world, and only those functions which are wrapped in the class can access it only. So these functions provide the interface between the object and the object data and the program. Inheritance is the process by which the objects of one class acquire the properties of another class. Inheritance provides the concept of reusability, another important feature of C++ or OOP. So this means that we can add additional features to the existing class without modifying it. Polymorphism, yes, one name many forms. You can use a single function with many operations or many functionalities, but same name can be used for different kind of operations. The behavior depends upon the type of the data used in the operation. The language feature that allows a function or the operator to be given more than one definition. So overloading may be operator overloading or function overloading. So overloading is the great example of polymorphism. It is of two types: compile time polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. Okay, so in previous videos also we have seen operator overloading, function overloading, and virtual functions. These are the further division of your compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. Dynamic binding refers to the linking of a procedure call to the code to be executed in the response to the function call. So it means that the code associated with the given procedure call is not known until the time of the call of the function at runtime. So dynamic binding, which the kind of binding of function call and function definition done at the runtime is known as the dynamic binding. It is associated with the polymorphic reference depending upon the dynamic type of that reference. Message passing. The object oriented program consists of a set of objects that communicate with each other, and the objects also, they are the different units of a single class, so they will also communicate with each other with the help of member functions. So a message for an object is a request for the execution of a procedure or a function, and therefore will invoke a function in the receiving object that generates the desired result. So message passing involves specifying the name of the object, the name of the function, and the information to be sent. So these are the important features of your object oriented programming. So benefits of OOP, we have seen by these features we can achieve various benefits of the object oriented programming, like Through inheritance, we can eliminate redundant code and extend the use of the existing classes. We can build the programs from the standard working module that communicate with one another rather than having to start writing the code from scratch. So this principle of data hiding helps the programmer to build the secure programs that can't be invaded by the code in other parts of the program. It is also possible to have multiple instances of an object to coexist without any interference, and it is easy to partition the work in a project based on the objects. So these systems can be easily upgraded from small system to larger system, and message passing technique of course is very much important for the communication between objects, that makes the interface description with the external systems much simpler, and software complexity can be easily managed. So classes and object, because the object oriented programming concept is based upon the classes and objects, so we must understand classes and object in details, and we will see the style of declaration of or the definition of your class and objects. So we have seen the definition of classes and object. Class is a blueprint. You can consider example of car. There may be many cars with different names and the brand, but all of them will share some common properties like wheels, speed limit, mileage, range, etc. So car is the class here, and wheels, speed limits, mileage, they are the properties. And a class is a user defined data type, and class contains data member as well as its member functions, and data member are the data variables and member functions are the functions that are used to manipulate these variables, and together these data and the member functions, they define the property and behavior of the class. So in this example, car is a class, data member will be the speed, limit, mileage, and function can be increase speed, apply brake. So functions will be any function which is defining the functionality of that car with the help of limit, mileage, etc. Object, whereas is object on the other hand is the instance of the class, or when we define a class, no memory is allocated for that class at that point of time, but when we instantiate any object or when we create any object, memory is allocated at that point of time. This is the way to write a class name. We have done it many times in the various examples so far. So this is the way to declare a class, define a class, and this is the way to declare an object. This is the declaration, or when you will assign some value with the help of constructors to this object name, then it is called the function object definition. Okay, we can also define access. We can also define member functions inside the class as well as the outside the class. So when we are talking about member functions, so these are the part of the class. There will be two type of function in case of classes: member function and non-member function. Member functions are always part of the class, non-member functions are the not part of the class. This is the example which is defining how we will access the data members with the help of object. So this was the one variable name, and this is the member function show name. So if you want them to get accessed outside the class also, then you have to make them public. We will see access modifiers, specifiers in the next video also in the public section. Then by writing them in the public section, you can assign the name. If it is not public and if it is private, then you cannot assign this value here. So that's why the member functions will always be called outside the class that is in the main function. So they are always written inside the public section, whereas the data usually written inside the private section. So this is the way to use to call the member function or to assign some value to the data member with the help of dot operator. So you can define member function inside the class as well as outside the class. So when you will write the function outside the class, then you have to declare that function inside the class, and after this the function definition will be like this with the help of scope resolution. This operator is known as scope resolution operator. When you will write the definition of a function outside the class, then you have to use this. Return type will be there, class name will be there, and then function name. So this is the program which I have added for your reference, for which I have added as an example for the objects and the classes. So this was all about the basics of object oriented programming. First unit topic is very simple, and you all have gone through with the concepts again and again, as we have written so many examples so far. Okay, thank you so much.